How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. Hope everyone's having a lovely day. So the Cincinnati Reds, for the second straight year, have a lot of talks about them potentially trading away Jonathan India in the offseason. And it's a really interesting situation for the Reds. Last season, a lot different than this one. Last one, it was kind of surprising because it was like, hey, India, Stevenson, cornerstones your team. What are you doing? Why would you move these guys? Yeah, he batted 240 some last season, but hey, rookie of the year, he'll bounce back in his third year. His third year came around, no bad about it, 240 again, 338 on base percentage, which not bad, I mean, he plays all seasons and give you 20 plus home runs for a leadoff hitter. That's more than impressive. And I think overall, you look at this guy and say, I do like him as the leadoff hitter. I think he is, that's a good role. It's a tough role to find. It's a tough spot to fill as a leadoff hitter for a team. But anyway, for the second straight year, Jonathan India comes in. Potential trade talks. Reds like, it is what it is. We're going to say no, we're not going to say yes. Obviously, we're listening to trade offers about guys. And, this year is different, though, because unlike last year, we said Stevenson and India are the cornerstones. Now you're starting to look and say, well, maybe McLean and Ellie are the cornerstones. Maybe McLean, Ellie, maybe Marte, maybe CEA. The names are endless on who could be the future of this Cincinnati Reds ball club. And now you're saying, okay, different story than last season because now you have a crowded infield. You just brought in Candelario, and you got six guys that need to play essentially four positions, three positions preferably. And you say, well, you got the DH. I think you can be flexible with the outfielders, whatever. But right now it feels like you're forced to use that DH on an infielder. So you got six positions. You got to move players around. Is Jonathan India the one that is the scapegoat here? Do we get rid of Jonathan India? A lot of people, they don't like the India defense, and I understand that. You want a plus second baseman. But it's difficult to think because there's so many dynamics. You look at this and say, hey, let's talk about Jonathan India's ceiling. I think he's a guy that can give you, 270 to 280. He can bet, 350, 360 on base percentage. He does an exceptional job of getting on base. He does an exceptional job of cutting that plate and taking hit by pitch. You talk about a guy that's a specialist at that. I don't know if that's a thing, but if there was such a thing, this guy's getting hit 15 plus times a season. That's a lot of times getting on base by doing it. Hey, get on base by any means necessary. But nonetheless, you talk about a guy who gets on 350, 360 on the on base percentage. I think that's what you really look at here. Because you do look at the Reds last season and, when it was, there was bend but don't break. The injuries are piling up. It wasn't until that Jonathan India injury happened, if you remember, that's when the offense, the Reds, they started to derail a little bit. And having that guy at the top of the order, it's not talked about a lot, but it is. It's so important. And India's done a great job filling that role where he can kind of take a few pitches. He's the confidence, the morale booster of the team. He can get on base early, kind of get things flowing, get the opposing pitcher uneasy. Having that kind of guy that can work the count, find a way to get on base at the top of the order, just get the ball rolling. It's felt like that's something Jonathan India has done exceptionally well. And again, you can't understate something about him. It just feels like he plays with a bit of a confidence or a bit of, an aura, if you will, of confidence or positivity that kind of rubs off on the rest of the team. So you put that guy, that stuff's so important in baseball, especially in considering it's I feel like it's such a confidence and a streaky sport where you got to come to the plate with confidence. Just having guys like that in the locker room and on the team, it's important. And here's the other dynamic. That was India's ceiling. Now, let's say India bats 250 for the rest of his career. He's done it two seasons, a little over 240. So again, on base 340, on base 340, that's still solid. Top of the order, solid. I'd see how things play out. But we have to remember, it's so easy to say, let's get rid of India because everybody else is so much better than him on this team. So, we don't know that for sure yet. We got to wait till things play out. But, that's kind of the consensus. And I understand it. A lot of talented Reds prospects on this baseball team. But if that's the case, small market team, if they're all better than Jonathan India, the Reds won't be able to pay them all. And this is an interesting dynamic, and it's a gamble. But I've thought about this a little bit. I said, hey, there's a lot of teams out there that know the Reds could potentially be shopping Jonathan India. The more he's on a trade market, the more that hurts his value. They start to look, why is he on the trade market? Do the Reds have leverage here? They say, the Reds got to empty somebody in the infield. They don't have a lot of leverage here. We don't have to give up as much as we wanted to, or they expect. All of a sudden, the last thing you want to do is trade Jonathan India for below market value or a little less than expected. That's a concern. That's one reason to say, hey, you know what? Maybe India shouldn't go. Another one is, again, we say if we know what India's going to give us, if he gives us what he did these last couple of years, now again, defense is a concern. But you consider that kind of stat line, that's a start in Major League Baseball through and throughout these days. And more importantly, you have to have these budget-friendly guys on your team. If you can lock down in Jonathan India, you just paid $15 million a year for Candelario. I mean, you can get Jonathan India from that 10 to 12 million range. Is that being optimistic? I'm not. That's a great get. If you lock a guy like that down for the next 5 to 10 years, maybe 5 to 7 years, you have a cog in your offense. You have some veteran leadership there. You have to build around players. And you don't want to get too happy with just trade, and hoping the next man comes up and is good. And that is why I think right now I still lean and say, keep India. It depends on the trade value, though. I mean, if somebody's willing to give up a 1 or 2 in the rotation, a younger guy, maybe he's a 3 now with the potential of being a 1 or 2, a younger guy under team control, and they want India, then you know what you say, hey, guess what? The door's wide open. Let's talk. Come on in. Come on over here. It's a little talk. We're at the table. But if this is a trade to Jonathan India that says, all right, let's just replenish the farm system, get a couple of prospects. They've been doing a good job. They have been doing a good job in the trades lately. I mean, look where this team is right now. So it makes you uneasy to think about. You understand why they would do it. Something about just having, you can't just have all the flashy players. Something about just having some good, stable players in your lineup. I do see there's some value in that. And I think that's where the situation comes up. The Reds got to be careful. And I think they have been careful. They just haven't thrown this guy out the door and said, all right, take him, whatever. They're kind of understanding of that as well. And that's kind of where I sit, where I'm in the middle. It's like, let me see what you're offering. I don't think there's a reason to rush India out the door. I love India as a player. I do. And that's why it's tough to see him go. Maybe I'm a little bit biased there. I like India. But I think you got to make sure you're doing what's best for the team overall. Love y'all's thoughts. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.